I spend a ridiculous amount of time talking, writing, and just generally thinking about Magic the Gathering. But if there's anything that I spend just as much time thinking and talking about, it's the NFL and American football. With my Packers following their annual tradition of looking good during the season and then shooting themselves in the foot in the playoffs, I figured I'd make a football team that could never disappoint me. A Magic the Gathering football team. So here's the deal. We're fielding a 22-person roster. 11 on offense, 11 on defense. This is going to be exclusively Planeswalkers. Any and all Planeswalkers. If I did legendary creatures, the potential pool would be way too big. This roster does include dead and desparked Planeswalkers. Let's see our starting offense. At quarterback, we have Jace Bellerin. I don't think you're ever going to find anyone in the multiverse that can read a defense quite like Jace. He reminds me a lot of Peyton Manning in this role. And the extent of his powers, there are a couple things I don't think would be totally legal. The NFL rulebook doesn't exactly explain the ruling on removing memories from players, but I imagine that fits under something in the concussion protocol. And if that were true, Jace would be paying crazy fines if he wanted to pull something like what he did to Alhammaret. I do think his use of illusions would be helpful in giving him a couple more seconds in the pocket. This man has already been the face of Magic for so long, I have no doubts this man can get the job done under pressure, and no stage will be too big. And all of this will just make him a stellar field general quarterback. Staying in the backfield, we're going with Chandra as our halfback. One of my favorite things I wanted out of a running back is being able to run through contact. A player who can quote-unquote angry run. Who better to run with a head of steam than someone with a head of fire? Chandra is our small scrappy back that is going to get through to any small tacklers and burn any slower tacklers. Going to our wide receiver room, our wide receiver 1 is Vraska. I think being able to slither in between zones is going to make her an asset, but I don't think you can overlook her chemistry with Jace. Good chemistry between your quarterback and receiver is how you get that elite, explosive offense. In an emergency, who is Jace looking for? Someone he knows and trusts better than anyone else. I also think turning defenders into stone is going to be a great way to make separation in man coverage, and amazing in the run blocking game. Wide receiver 2 is Kaya. I think her ghost form is going to allow her to slip through defenders and find the open field. To the offensive line. Teo is very much a lightweight, but his ability to create walls I think makes him a great choice for a left tackle to guard that blind side. Left guard is Dakon. The Planeswalker pool is very light on bigger bodies, and Dakon just happens to be a bigger dude with magically increased strength. According to the wiki, he also has a violent history and is naturally left-handed. That is exactly what I'm looking for a pulling guard on the left side who's going to flatten someone on a running play. At center I have Angrath. If the other walkers can use their powers, I think Angrath should be able to use his chain and hammer. Show me a rule in the NFL rulebook saying my guy can't have a fiery chain and or hammer. I'll wait. His long reach thanks to the chain and his speed in battle allows for him to serve the duties of a center, but then get right into the play. Right guard I have Garrick. Dude is massive, and I think if you give him a couple of steps when he's pulling, he's sending any defender into next year. I originally had him on the defensive line, but I think he gets outclassed by the competition there. Right tackle is Karn. I think Karn is one of the more natural choices for an offensive lineman. Not only is he 8 feet tall and quite literally built, the man is a pacifist. And I think in a sport like this, he'd work great in a position where instead of attacking, he's defending. At tight end, I have Ajani. The man quite literally has cat-like reflexes that he'll need when getting between blocking and pass catching. He's also a big enough body to be a presence on the line, but also fast enough to be talented in the passing game. So with 2 receivers, a quarterback, a running back, and an offensive line, we're sitting at 10 guys. To round it out, I really like having a gadget player. It's really uncommon, but I want someone like Taysom Hill. Or at the very least like a Deebo Samuel before the 2024 season. He can play receiver, running back, tight end if need be, and quarterback on trick plays. Who better than Oko, the biggest trickster in the multiverse? When he's on the field and in motion, you don't know where the ball's going to, and if the ball may or may not have been turned into a 3-3 elk. That's our offense, let's go to our defense. Defense, we're running a 3-4. Our defensive line has a nose tackle and 2 ends. Starting at nose tackle, we have Duretti. He is cited as a short and sturdy goblin, but he's also listed as 6 feet tall when in the modified wheelchair. I think he could be a problem in the middle and help anchor that defense. Our defensive ends are Ugin and Nicopolas. They're both naturally bigger bodies being dragons and will have great speed to get off the ball. Bolas and Ugin are both the type of player to come out of college that feel like they could play the majority of the positions on the field. And while I do think their ability to fly around could help them as a receiver, I think it's better suited getting a good first step in the pass rush. Our outside linebackers are Gideon and Tyvar. Gideon gives me low-key prime Clay Matthews vibes. and I think his physical features will allow him to rush the passer and play against the run, and then if need be, drop into some coverage. Tyvar is a younger weapon and comes from a plane where fighting and full-on combat is just a fun pastime. He's proven himself in both the infiltration of New Phyrexia and going through Duskmourn. This is the type of defensive talent that you just have to find a spot for on your field and watch how it goes. Moving to middle linebacker, I have Elspeth. This might be the coach's kid being the team captain, but I love Elspeth, and I've always loved Elspeth, and I will always love Elspeth. I think her military expertise will turn her quite literally into quite the field general out there. She may be smaller than you want out of a middle linebacker, but she can play up. She defeated Pelukrinos, and she defeated 2 gods. She can make that play in the middle of the field if she needs to. And since she's also recently become an angel, she's going to be stellar in the pass defense. Our other middle linebacker is Teferi. He had some personality issues early in his career. He was deemed a prankster and also kind of destroyed a plane, but he has matured and redeemed himself. And while he doesn't like using hand-to-hand combat, I think his time magic would be absolutely busted. Anyone who played Madden 09 will tell you how ridiculous time travel is when it comes to football. For real, Madden put a feature into their game one year where once a game you could just undo the last play. Your opponent pulls off a crazy 90-yard touchdown, rewind. You throw a bad interception to lose the game, let's see that again in a rewind. This is exactly how Teferi would be brutal on defense. Let's finish with our secondary. Our cornerback one might be the most obscure character on this list, but is Xenagos. He only received 1 Planeswalker card over a decade ago, and was introduced and killed in the same block. But what you need to realize is this guy turned himself into a god. How many big quarterbacks have played in the NFL with the biggest of egos? Sanders, Sherman, Alexander. Ego isn't usually the greatest thing to have in a team sport, but you kind of have to have it at certain positions like corner. It gives him that chip on the shoulder to show up. He's a satyr, he's already part goat. Give him time and he'll be the goat. Our second corner is Dak Faden. The man has the nickname the greatest thief in the multiverse. What I hear from that is turnover machine. Interceptions and fumbles will win football games. Our safeties are Kaito and Sarkhan. Kaito is playing free safety, meaning he's going to be guarding the deep shot, and is our last defense. I'm putting him out there at safety because I think his ability to disappear and pop back up is exactly what's going to force a bunch of turnovers. It reminds me of interviews from quarterbacks about Ed Reed. You think the man's open, then surprise. And while he may lack the physicality, he's going to be great against deep threats. Quarterback sees a man deep and lets it fly. Kaito appears out of the smoke and makes a play. And finally we have Sarkhan at strong safety to play a little bit more in the middle of the field. He's mainly helping against the pass, but can be a factor in support against the run. I really want him here because I think he synergizes well with our dragon defensive ends. Synergizes so well he can turn himself into a copy of one of them, and make a monster play if he needs to. So there you go, my Magic the Gathering NFL team. Expect this secret lair drop to go live summer of 2025. And don't forget to bolt your birds.